time, it was quite interesting for me why you are working and worked in electronic synthesizer band, but you choose guitar. Because guitar was fashionable, or?
No, because guitar was my instrument. My guitar was my first instrument. I learned. I was trained in classic guitar for many years when I was a child, for 6-7 years, and I played Bach and Mozart and all the classics, Caroli, so and these classic guitar pieces.
You liked it or you hated it?
I liked it, yes. I done it because I liked it. I had a very good teacher. She taught me. She was a very profound teacher. I had a heritage from my grandfather. He had a very small little guitar, and when I was a very little child, I liked it a little bit. And then we had a piano in our apartment where I grew up, but I was not allowed to play it. And then later in school, somebody came from the local music school here in Berlin and said, well, if do you want to learn it? And we offer course. You go there once a week, one day in a week. So I said, yeah, okay, I try it, and my parents liked it, and so I went there, but it was completely easy, and I didn't have any intention to become professional, or so it was just for fun, and it was quite relaxing because I had a good teacher who was teaching me very slowly. She was also a teacher for not only guitar, but for Laute. I don't know the English word for it.
Lute?
Luten, yes, yeah. This is even more, you have to learn it very slowly, so she was teaching me just with, I started one string, so I had to play one string for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, only on one string. Okay, so there was no stress, I was not in a hurry, so I went there every week and I played boom, boom, and she said, yes, this was good, and it has to be balanced all the time, the same attack and the same, just to have it precisely in the same way, to get a rhythm.
Okay.
And after 6 weeks I was allowed to take the next string, so I had 2 strings. And then after 6 months or so I finally was able to play all strings.
So when they telling that source of your minimalism, it's Philip Glass or something like that, it's not true. This is the basis of
my
your
early
minimalism.
influence. Yes, yeah, it was really good. But I mean, I really learned it very profound. This is a very good teaching, and so others, they start with a chord and then boom boom and this chord, and they want to sing and they want to play a song. And so I said, no, you have to learn note by note, very slowly. And so it took 3-4 years. And then I like to play these kind of pieces for exercising, etüden.
Like scales?
Very simple things to train your fingers. I liked it to play because I was starting to improvise, because you can change, you can play this way, it's just for exercising. It's not a fixed composition, it's a piece, open piece, and that's maybe why I like to, how I learned about improvising, that I liked it. And it was only after 4 years or 5 years training that she gave me the first real compositions to play from I don't remember, from Spanish composers or so. And then I started to think about this, and there were some parts I liked in the composition, some parts I didn't like, and so I started to think about, this was maybe the beginning where I started to learn to think about my own composition, because there were, I found I had a good piece for guitar and I played half of it and I liked it, and then there was another part that I didn't like. So why should I learn it? I don't like it. So that was the origin, maybe when I started to compose in my head. So that I I played what I liked, so what I felt is a nice sound and what I liked. Yeah. So.
Okay, you released this album, the latest live album from Australia. It was some philharmonic, or what was the hall? What was the venue?
This was Melbourne Arts Centre, Melbourne. It's a huge complex with various places, big theatre. It's for opera, for big theatre. And it was a 3-day festival. It's the biggest place in Melbourne. I think it's even bigger than Sydney Opera. And Melbourne is a very renowned place, more renowned place for cultural events in Australia than, for example, Sydney. Also not only music, but also for art and for films. And this was a festival for about 3 or 4 days, called Super Sense Festival. And the woman who was the curator of this festival, Sophia Bruce was her name. She was in English. She knew my music and she invited me for a solo concert. So she liked the music, and she proposed not to play not only a solo concert, but also to play maybe some session or some workshop with other musicians who also participate in the festival. And but I didn't like that much sessions or playing around. So
why?
Yeah, sometimes it's nice, but it's not for public. Sometimes it's nice, but not. I prefer a kind of concept for it. So. And so I thought about it, and then my wife Ilona came up with the idea to play some old Ash Ra Tempel stuff, because Sophia, she proposed musicians like Ariel Pink. He's a singer, and he's a very well known and prominent singer-songwriter from maybe not a songwriter, but musician, singer from Los Angeles. And so actually he's a singer, so I thought about maybe some pieces where there are lyrics, because in my history there's not, I didn't use very many pieces. I didn't play many music pieces with lyrics, so there were two albums in the early 1970s, Ash Ra Tempel albums, the second one and the third one. And so I thought, well, maybe these pieces. So she proposed Ariel Pink, then another musician from Australia, Shax Chamberlain, who played with Ariel Pink, who played synthesizer, but also bass and guitars and other instruments. And finally she came up with Oren Ambarchi, also an Australian musician, a really good musician, who is an experimental guitar player, but he also plays drums. He played with KG Heino with very experimental stuff. He plays solo concerts with experimental guitars with many musicians. But actually I didn't know any of the three, and so said, okay, let's try. We play some maybe some pieces from the album Schwingung, some pieces from 7 Up. And I was in contact with the three musicians by email, and then I found out that they knew the music, they liked the music, and so I was really a bit shocked and surprised. I thought, woof, they are many years younger. And they said, no, we are familiar with the music. We don't need any score. You don't have to tell us anything. We know the music. We know I wanted to give them the lyrics. No, we need it. We don't need it. We know everything. And so we met so we agreed to play. So I played actually 2 concerts at the festival in Melbourne, 1 solo concert, and then one that I called Ash Ra Tempel Experience, because it's not the original Ash Ra Temple, but it's a kind of experience, performing these pieces with young musicians who were not born when I actually made this music in the original recording. And we had a rehearsal for 1 day before. It was great, and so we went on stage, played. We had a great recording, multi-track recording, and so I took the files, and then I asked my old friend and producer Mick Glossop from England, a famous producer for many years for Van Morrison, for example. I knew him from the album Correlations in 1979, which we made together. He was the engineer and co-producer. So I asked Mick Glossop if he would like to mix it. Actually, Mick Glossop was a little bit participating in this, because he met this woman, Sophia Bruce, from Australia before, and they were talking about maybe inviting me. So I thought of inviting Mick Glossop actually for the concert to record it and to mix it live, but there was no time, and so I thought, okay, that maybe he can do the mix for the vinyl and for the CD release. So he did, and so we have a very good mix by Mick Glossop, and it's an original document. It's a recording. It's nothing. It's all in it. It's about 60 minutes. We play 3 pieces from the album Schwingung. We play the title track Schwingung. I asked for a vibraphone on stage, an old-fashioned vibraphone. We played all the 4 at the vibraphone. It was a funny thing. And we played a kind of medley from the 7 Up album, the first part where Timothy Leary was making the lyrics and where he was also singing. And it's really crazy. It sounds, in parts, it sounds like if it would be the original.
I've heard that. I've heard the original. And who was so eager to print the record and put it on the market?
We did. This is our own release.
It's your own label?
Yes, we have our own label, MG Art. It's our label for 16, 17 years now, more. 17 years, since 2000. And I release all my albums on this label. So we have a good distribution company worldwide. There's a company in Germany with connections to all over the world.
What was the first print? How many? How many records you printed in vinyl? First run.
You mean this one? This
Yeah,
new one?
This album in vinyl.
I think 2000 or something.
Uh-huh.
This is now, they're specialized. This distribution company is very good in vinyl distribution. We have re-released E2, E4 last year, and we sold more than 10,000 copies immediately from this E2, E4. So, well, I think it's okay. We made both. We made vinyl and CD.
CD and Apple
so
Store?
many people.
Apple Store? iTunes? No?
No, we don't have it now. I'm not so really happy with digital distribution because.
Why? You are digital. You are electronic.
Yes, but it doesn't bring anything. It's I have some of the albums are illegally digitally distributed, but I get some composers shares from the German Composer Society, GEMA. So you have tons of papers, hundreds of papers, and in the end it's €3.55 or so. Depends on one part. It depends on the music, of course. If you have very quiet pieces, it's better if it's more a quiet place and people are sitting. But sometimes it's just fun when people start to dance. So I have both. I've played concerts in places where there were seats, and in the middle of the concert, people were standing up and dancing between the rows. And I had a concert in Copenhagen, for example. There were people jumping on stage and started to dance. That was great. And, somehow I like it when it happens like this. It depends. For example, a piece like this piece, E2, E4, is you can play it in different locations. You can play it. I played it open air at huge festivals where people standing in front. Moving like this, not really dancing, but move in Japan, for example. I was playing it here in Berlin at a big club, legendary or famous club, Berghain. Of course, people were dancing to it as well. But I also played it just recently in London at the Barbican Centre. This is a seated place, people were sitting there. I played it at the Tonhalle right now, people were sitting there. It's different every time.
What about copyrights? If you use, should you ask Klaus Schulze to play the Ash Ra Tempel's tunes or not? When you're playing?
No.
No?
He has nothing to do with it.
It's post Schulze.
This is we don't play it. So the second album, Schwingung, is completely. Schulze was not with Ash Ra Tempel for long. Second album is without Schulze. The third album is without Schulze. All the others, they are solo albums, and so these are all my compositions. So I have nothing to do with him.
So everything you're doing by yourself, you don't owe nobody nothing.
No, this is I would owe one part is the lyrics for the 7 Up album. They are by Timothy Leary. So I have to credit Timothy Leary when we play this, so when we perform it. But none of the rest, the other compositions, they were shared. I shared with my old friend Hartmut Enke, my partner, but he died 15 years ago. Not everything, but the majority of the pieces is just, I don't have to ask anybody.
Do you have time to be interested in other people's music?
Yes, I don't listen very much to music. I listen only when I have some reason that somebody, a friend, gives me some music and tells me I should listen to it. But I don't listen to radio, or I don't listen to TV, or it doesn't attract me so much. And most of the time I work on my music, and that's okay. And so I have enough to do. I have enough ideas to work to make my music even better, to work on it and to make it more precise, to make it different. I have enough ideas, so I have enough inspiration. I don't need any more. Which is not that I'm against it, but in the last years I followed music from, I really like to listen a lot to music in the 1960s when I was a teenager, of course, but it was a little, but over the years it got less and less. It was a little bit less. I was already active in music, playing myself, so I was more choosing what would be interesting for me, or what would be an inspiration. I like very much African music. I listen to South American music. I listen to Caribbean music. I liked, of course, minimal music, and all this. From all these parts, I created my own style. But sometimes I hear something that I'm like, there's a good radio program here in Berlin from an old friend of mine. He's making this electronic radio program, 2 hours every week, and he's doing it now for more, 25 or even longer. And he invites me quite often to his program to make interviews and to play my new albums. It's Olaf Zimmermann is his name. He's working in the RBB called Electro Beats. A very nice program. In terms of electronic music, there's too much. Music is going in a direction very. For me, it's a bit too much in only dance music, because I like dance music. That's not the problem, but I like more the experimental side of new style or development in music. It's not only electronic music. I always compare it to the 1970s, when there was the minimal music was really influential. This was really a whole movement, and there are many different music has many different aspects, many different directions, but there's not really a new bigger movement that you can what would be influencing people, other musicians. So we can wait. There's much to do with electronic stuff.
We have still space for experiments, or everything is done?
No, I think there's a lot of space for experiments, but it's difficult, because it's on the one hand it's very easy. You buy an instrument, you buy a keyboard, and you buy 1,000 sounds or 1,000,000 sounds you get for free. And then you sit there and switch all the sounds, well, maybe this, and then you play a little bit, and then you think you are Beethoven or Mozart. It's not. This is not like this. That's what I told before about my great guitar teacher, that you need a profound idea about what is music all about, and how to create it. And the original idea is that you take just a few elements, maybe 3, 4, 5 notes or something like this, as an example, but then you try to make a big symphony out of these 5 notes. That's minimalism, and that does not mean there's not much happening, but and many young people don't understand it. They think it's enough if they have a little drums and a little bass and it's minimal music. This is not true. So I always explain that to young people. I did some lectures or lessons. I met students now from the New York University. Here in Berlin, I had some kind of lesson, lecture, and I was in Stockholm. I had a kind of lecture talking about my music and some kind of talk with audience an hour before for 1 hour. And then I try to explain it, the ideas of the music and what's the difference of minimalism, what's the idea about it, and what's my interpretation of it, and how I came to it when playing it.
What brings more finances, gigs or records now in Germany or in your case?
I think at the moment it's getting back to concerts. It was, I started with concerts. For me, music was always something, a live event, and I never thought very much of recording it or of records releasing or so. I was quite lucky that when we did our first contract, first recording, first release, but I wanted to keep it as much as possible as a live concert event, like in the way we played, and I didn't want it to make it too much a kind of record studio production. Because I like the idea of live. It's still interesting to produce or to release records now. Vinyls again, since many years, vinyl is very popular again. You have the big, beautiful covers. It's really a collector's item if you have vinyls.
Even smell.
You have the smell, and the sound is unique. It's if you like it, or maybe you just put it aside and keep it. It depends on the type of music. If it's music that you will hear very often in the radio, if it's popular or contemporary music which you hear every day, there's no need to buy it, there's no need to collect it somehow, and so. But if it's music with something, some special music which is different, you won't hear it since to collect it. And,
so we should listen your new album from vinyl.
yes, you should listen to vinyl. There are the photos.
A lot of work.
This is the rehearsal from the first day. This is Ariel Pink, this is Shax, this is Oren on drums, Ariel on bass, Shax on keys, this is me.